girl, March girl, I don't really know. This is your sign to go through your bookshelf and get rid of the oldies that you're never gonna read. Just be honest with yourself. You've grown out of it and you're never gonna read it. It's okay. It's okay, we all get older. Hi everybody, my name is Kayla. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and I love to read. Back in class. This is my first project of freshman year, fun fact. And it's really fucking ugly, and that's why all of the books I will be donating are going in there. A pile of books that I went through my bookshelf and realized I'm never gonna read. I try to read and I don't like it. Nobody wants them. If you're my friends watching this and you want any of these books, please let me know because I will gladly give them to you. And yeah, looking at these books are books that I read and I did not really like, that I don't even want to own them anymore because I will never go back to them, or books that I simply grew out of, or books I haven't read because I grew out of them and I just like never got a chance to read them. Is one that I hate the fact that I'm getting rid of an Oscar Wilde book because I love Oscar Wilde, but it's The Importance of Being Earnest. I read this book in about 7th grade for a class and now I never want to read it again. Play. And it's so heavily annotated because I read it in 7th grade and I had to write a paper on it. So that could be the reason. Maybe it wasn't 7th grade. It might have been high school. Maybe it was like freshman year. I don't remember. But I had to read this book. My brothers may need this when they get older. I may not get rid of it. They may need this. Fuck. Okay, anyway. The next book we have is Kate and Frida by Kim Fay. Okay. Insert the video of me ranting about how much I hate this book. I literally talked about how much I hate this book for a good 10 minutes. It's embarrassing. I do not like this book. I do not recommend it. And I went very soft on the book during my review, but now that I've slept on it for about 4 months, I don't like this book. The idea of it was there. The execution did not suffice in my opinion. So I give this book no stars and it's going back in the donation pile. I literally bought this at my local library and I'm about to return that shit back because I don't want it. We have is She Drives Me Crazy by Kelly Quinlan, and I read this book back in about when was this released? This book was released in 2021 or 2022, somewhere around there. 2021 we'll say. I probably read this book about 2022. I was really in like a lesbian like YA book era, and ain't nothing wrong about that, girl. Like, ain't nothing wrong about that. I definitely at the time loved this book. I would never read this book again. I think I've just grown out of the reading age for it. It is very, like, I don't think there's smut in it. I'm pretty sure it's very PG. I know they kiss. I distinctly remember their first date was watching Christmas lights, and I remember my first date with my boyfriend was supposed to be watching Christmas lights, and I remember they kissed in the car while they were watching the Christmas lights, and I was like, that's gonna be me and this guy I'm gonna go out with. And then there was a hailstorm and we didn't watch Christmas lights and we never got to do that, so that really sucks. Simply have grown out of this era of like YA books, so I don't need it. I'm reading bigger and better things. But it seems like I'm like homophobic or something. I promise I'm not. I love women. Okay, I do. One Last Stop. Now this book does suck. This is Casey McQuiston's One Last Stop. I read Red, White, and Royal Blue back, I don't even know when I read that book. That was a long time ago. I read that book in one sitting. Dead ass, I sat in a cafe for, I'm not kidding, 12 hours and read that book. I closed that shit and opened that shit. And this book sucks. It's about 500 pages of nonsense. The premise is fine. The execution is very poor. Traveling, and she's like stuck in time, some filler bullshit, and then there's like a whole spiel on her mom, and it's like 5 chapters about her mom, and she's like a ghost hunter. I don't know, and I didn't like it. And I wanted to get through this book. I read this book before I started doing like immersive reading where you listen to the audiobook and read the physical book, and I dead ass read about 100 pages of this book, 100 pages of the audiobook, 100 pages, like I could not get through this fucking book. It took me about 4 months to read this book, and I read Red, White, Royal Blue in like 2 seconds. And is that book much better? Yes and no. They're both in 2 completely fantasyland situations, but for some reason that book feels more accurate to what this book could be. Next book is Where the Crawdads Sing. I've never read this book. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I bought this book at a Goodwill for $2, and I remember it was trending on TikTok, and I saw it at the Goodwill, and I said, oh my god, I don't spend 20 bucks at Barnes? I'm gonna buy this book. It sucks. Again, I started it, I got about 20 pages into it, and I simply could give less of a fuck. I don't care. I don't care about these characters. Girl, Marsh Girl, I don't really know. Didn't watch the movie. I know about the author, which also, like, I was reading it and I was like, I don't know if I want to read this book because the author's kind of cocky. She's a little strange. I started reading on the plane. I was like, I'm gonna lock in. And then I was like, Sleeping Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow. Which, now, girl, when is this movie coming out? You gotta tell me when this movie's coming out because this book came out in like 2020, 2021-ish. When is this movie coming out? Because they filmed this shit literally like 5 years ago. Maybe they scrapped it. They might have scrapped it. That sucks. Because we're really excited for this book. And the reason I bought this book is because the movie was coming out. And I was like, I'm gonna have to read the book immediately. And then that movie never came out. Ryan, she moves to London, I'm pretty sure. And she's like, she cooks. And he's like cute. Is like on the same wavelength as this book, where I've grown out of this era of romance where it's so PG and it's so like, it's too YA, not YA. It's like so young adult. Like if you were to walk into the young adult section at Barnes & Noble, it's like Icebreaker and then there's like these books where it's like on two different ends where it's like that's technically young adult, which is crazy in my brain, but like technically it is young adult, but like this is like YA. You know what I'm saying? It's YA and then there's young adult. This is YA. This is young adult. This is romance. But like how they set that shit up at the Barnes, these would be on the same shelf, but like this is over here and this is over here. Technically it's not how that works because they go it by author, but besides the point. I read these first when I was about 12, 15 years old, we'll say. I read these. And then I work my way up to this. And then I work my way up to this. It's just the pattern of life. It's a circle of life, okay? The circle of booktube. So, yeah. Reese's YA book club. It just don't hit for me. It just, I have zero interest in, like, ever reading this book again. It was certainly one and done. I should just borrow it at the library, but I wanted to buy it. And, yeah, I read it in, like, 24 hours, and at the time, I thought it was a great book, but I would never read it again. And I'm very sad to say that this book did not work out. We did not get along. We did not sit at the same table. She was over here and I'm over here. This is Groupies. I started reading this book back in 2022. This is 20 pages in and I was deeply uninterested in the book. I tried so hard. The cover, the premise, again on my library haul books, I talked about how much I love books set in the 70s, 80s, rock and roll, music. I love that. And so like this book immediately, look at the cover. The cover is Gorgina. I'm immediately drawn to her. It's so boring. I never thought to be bored to death by talking about groupies. And like she wants to be a photographer and she's taking pictures of rock stars and groupies and she doesn't want to be a groupie, but like you know, like I never thought to be bored by that premise, but this book bored me to shreds. Like I'm not kidding. I tried so hard to read this book again about last semester. Then about last semester I tried to pick up the book again and I simply snoozed Looney Tunes. Got about like 100 pages into it and I was like, I'm still bored, and if I'm bored 100 pages in, there's a problem because this book is only about like 300, oh it's 200 pages. I'm about halfway done with the book and I'm bored. That's concerning. That's so concerning. So I gave up with this book and maybe someone else will love it and enjoy it. I love taking pictures. I love music. I love rock and roll. I love the 70s and I was bored. That's sad. It was very flat and very dull. The characters were boring as fuck. It didn't hit, which sucks because I wanted to love the book so much. These are all the books that I will be unhauling from my shelf. I don't ever want to see again. I don't want to hear about them again. I kind of just want to and pretend they never existed on my shelf. That's all. I will see you guys next week. Okay, bye.